Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever or whenever you happen to be listening to this. Thank you for listening to the Sales for the Nigerian Wedding Industry podcast. I'm your host, Abuja based event and wedding photographer Taveshima Ayede. So, at the last episode, or rather, should I say, the last two or three episodes have been devoted to the idea of whether it's possible to use influence or any form of pressure in sales and whether that's possible and if indeed you should do so, assuming that is possible. And I hope that I've been able to get you guys over to my own side of the issue that it's not a good idea to use pressure, and rather we should focus on using whatever existing buyer motivation that there already is in the situation. And let's see. Okay, yes. And so with that, I think, if I remember correctly, I laid the groundwork for introducing you guys who happen to be catching the show for the first time to this idea about qualification frameworks. Now, the idea behind qualification is it's a questioning process that is aimed at a couple of things: making sure that you're speaking to the right people, that there's a right level, that there's a level of need, and that they're ready to pull the trigger anytime soon. Because if you are a high-end wedding planner, there's no point in speaking to a 150K bride who isn't getting married this year. She's getting married in 2024. And let's see, what else? Well, I hope this example, is enough to get the picture, to give you guys, help you understand what the whole idea behind qualification is. So if you are an upmarket kind of wedding planner, you want to be speaking to the right kind of bride who's getting married this year in 2021 and is ready to pull the trigger quite soon. So ideally, those are the kind of candidates that and potential clients that we should be looking for if you're a wedding planner, and the same goes if you're a wedding photographer or videographer or whatever it is that you do. So clearly you can see in this situation, this example that I've just given now, that you do not have to apply pressure per se, because since there's already a need and the people are ready to pull the trigger and there's meeting of minds between both of you, you guys vibe well, you can see that there's plenty of motivation apparently on the other side for the buyer to just get on with it. For the bride to just get on with it. And your role basically is reduced to just guiding them along the process and making sure that you don't F this up and you collect the deposit and then do a banking job like I know you will in helping the client realize their the ideal wedding of a lifetime, or whatever it is that they hope to get out of the wedding day. So, to achieve to achieve qualification, to make sure that you're speaking to a qualified bride or groom, that is why these things have been invented. This whole thing is called qualification frameworks. Now, they've been created by different people from different schools of thought, from different industries. But I'm of the opinion that it doesn't matter what the industry is, any qualification framework that you come across is going to help you in your wedding practice. The reason is because a lot of us get into this wedding game and we start freestyling from day one. Now, freestyling, you could get some wins here and there, but it's not the same as a professional in other industries who have dedicated decades of their life and their experience to try and sort out these questions. So it's possible that you might speak to someone who is a banking marketer, for instance. So let's say a friend of yours works in Zenith Bank, and she notices how you go about your business, and she starts saying, "No, why don't you do this? Why don't you do this? Why don't you do this?" The typical thing would be for you to, the knee-jerk reaction would be, stay in your lane, mind your business. I'm a wedding photographer. What do you know about weddings? You work in Zenith Bank, so it's not the same thing. Just stay in your lane. But actually, it wouldn't be a bad idea to listen to it, whatever it is that they have to say, because most likely you're going to learn a lot. So the three qualifications framework that I speak about the most, especially when we're looking into this current material that I have with the folks at Seed Builder, their tech hub in Abuja. So when I ran this session with them, so the qualifications frameworks that we looked into were the want, need, afford, and urgency. That is something out of Tom Hopkins, if I remember correctly. Then SPIN, that is SPIN. That is something from Neil Rackham, a sales consultant from the 60s. Sorry, not 60s, 80s, a long time ago, back when we were kids. And that was in a more business-to-business context. Tom Hopkins is more of a real estate context. So during the Seed Builders training, there were some real estate professionals there who found some of the ideas that we discussed real handy. And then finally, there's BANT, that's BANT, and that's something from Sandler training. So in the future episodes, we're going to look into what these qualifications are and see what we can learn from them as wedding professionals, with a view to making sure that we only speak to properly qualified people. We already speak to people who are already motivated and ready to move. Now, for those of you who are listening to the podcast who also dabble on real estate on the side, I'm sure you guys really, really appreciate the importance of what it is that I'm trying to stress. Real estate professionals, whether in Abuja or in Lagos or New York or whatever, do not like wasting time with people who are not motivated. There's no point in taking a husband and wife to go and see 5 different houses, and at the end of the day they say, we'll think about it, because they're in no hurry to make a decision. It's just a waste of time. And so the same applies for those of us in the wedding space. So save yourself some hassle. Stop trying to pressure people to buy. Stop trying to pressure people that, okay, these are my packages. Book me. Let me be your wedding photographer. Have a conversation. Make sure you're speaking to qualified people, and then their own existing buyer motivations are pretty much going to sort everything out. So, to save time, I'm only going to look at one today, and that is want, need, afford, and urgency. Of course, like I mentioned, something out of Tom Hopkins, and that was used in the real estate space. So, the real estate agent would ask questions to be sure, what do you want? What kind of house are you looking for? 3-bedroom, self-contained. Let me use Abuja terms. Is this self-contained? How many toilets? How many bathrooms? Do you guys have kids? How many rooms? Do you want the boys in one room, the girls in one room? Do you want one room for each person? Those sorts of questions. So questions around want and need, and then questions are currently about where they live, how much they currently pay for rent. That gives a fair idea of how much they might be willing to spend on this transaction. That's the afford bit. And then, of course, there are typical real estate agents, even in Abuja here, the uneducated ones, like the ones we use when we're looking for houses. I mean, they would ask you, when is your tenancy going to expire? So if you're having this conversation with them in January of 2021, but you say your tenancy is going to expire in December of 2021, they kind of know that, okay, you're not really ready to pull the trigger, especially if you seem to be the average Joe. If it looks like Pepe Rest, and you have too much money and you don't mind moving before your tenancy is up, then they might keep you in rotation and carry on with that conversation. So that's the basic idea behind want, need, afford, and urgency. And we wedding professionals have to come at this with the same philosophy as well. So, wedding photographers, stop doing that thing where people hit you up and then you just send a PDF back. These are my packages: gold, silver, bronze, platinum, and then leave it at that. And then at the end of the day, you get frustrated that you're blasting these messages and people aren't calling you back and you're not booking business. And you're calling them to say, how far? I sent you this thing on Tuesday last week. I haven't heard from you. And then the whole BS continues. Let me talk to my fiance first, blah blah blah, and then before you know it, they're ghosting you. So you have to have a much more question-led approach, even if ultimately what you're going to do is to send out that going to blast out that document of your gold, silver, bronze, and platinum packages. Engage them in a conversation. Oh, congratulations, you guys are getting married. Or when is that going to be? So remember, at the time of this recording, we are in March 2021. So if they say they're getting married in January of 2023, you now know that, well, this is not exactly hotcake. So you can just follow them and yarn, but it doesn't mean you have to get into high pressure mode, because any sense of urgency is not there. So they might seem like they're totally peppered up clients, it might be Buhari's daughter or whatever, but the wedding is 3 years away. So put things in proper perspective. And then you run through the whole list of questions that the typical questions that you already have prepared. So wedding photographers, I don't think wedding photographers have a checklist or questionnaire kind of mindset. So you might want to hook up with your friends who are wedding planners and have a chat about these ideas, because they are really into checklists and questions, because they need to ask how many guests, what day, where's the venue, what is the color, what is this, what is that. So for wedding planners, they are thoroughly question driven, and so these ideas that I'm expressing here are not strange to wedding planners. So wedding photographers, let's see, who else? Video people. I know that you guys commit this in as well. So let's learn from our friends, the wedding planners. So ask questions. What do you want? When is the wedding day? Is it going to be 1 day or 2 days? Are you interested in the pre-wedding shoot as well? Ask all these questions. Yes, we know that everything is already contained in your package, PDF, or on the website, or whatever it is that you're going to send to them. But still, ask them and engage them in the conversation. Give yourself an opportunity to suss these people out, get a feel, see if they're properly qualified. So by asking questions about what they want and what they need, and stylishly digging into money and budget issues and urgency, you'll be able to give yourself a better shot of getting people to book you to be their wedding photographer or their wedding planner at the end of the day. Because by having the conversation, basically you'll get their inner motivations to come to the fore. And if you're a nice, credible and personable chap, I guess there might be no reason why they shouldn't go with you at the end of the day. Of course, it is not magic, but I really think you increase your odds when you have some sort of qualification process that you are working with. After all, I think it's not magic that wedding planners close more business than we do. We wedding photographers typically do. Although some wedding photographers chalk it up to, well, wedding planners are important because of the whole range of services that they offer and blah, blah, blah. And so they get more inquiries and this and this and that and that. So, yeah, that might be true. But I strongly suspect it's because wedding planners sell differently from the rest of us. They have the questionnaire. They're going to run through the questionnaire, and they're not going to give a quote until they have run through everything in the questionnaire and they properly understand what the bride wants and needs, what the sense of timelines are, and if the wedding planner now gets a sense of what it is that they might afford. So let me cap it here. We're getting close to 15 minutes that I have that I typically allocate per episode. So thank you very much for listening to the Sales for the Nigerian Wedding Industry podcast. I'm your host, Abuja-based event and wedding photographer Tabishima Ayede. I'll catch you guys on the next episode, where we will hopefully look into the SPIN qualification framework and then also examine BANT as well, BANT. So thank you very much, guys, for listening. I'll catch you on the next episode.